Hi, this is Steve Andersen from the USBA, and I was scheduled to interview Dick Jaspers from the Netherlands. Unfortunately, I had some technical issues, and we both agreed we would reschedule an interview at some point in the near future. So I want to thank Dick for the patience during those technical issues. And so we will certainly have Dick in an interview at some point in the future. However, I am pleased to welcome Andy Janquitto, the president of the USBA. He is our guest today. Welcome, Andy. How goes it?
Steve, thank you very much for asking me to be interviewed today on pinch hitting, I guess, for Dick Jaspers. I really want to thank you for the effort you've done so far with these interviews. I've been listening to all of them. And when I look at the list of the people you've interviewed, I really feel that I shouldn't be on that list or among those who have been interviewed, but I am honored to be here. I think Dick Jaspers must be in Korea right now because the World Cup in Korea, actually, it just finished sometime early today, our time. And I think he made it to the semifinals, is that possible? Quarterfinals or semifinals, and then lost?
Yeah, I think it was the quarter finals. And matter of fact, I've lost so much sleep lately, because of the time difference. I go to bed at like 2:30 in the morning after watching the tournament, and I have to get up and go to work. So I'm kind of glad it's over.
Well, I hope you can get him rescheduled. I think that'll be another great interview to have in the interview bank on the USBA website.
Well, absolutely. Well, since you've been president, I looked at the records, and you correct me if I'm wrong. Is it summer of 2011 that you became president?
That's correct. Sometime in June of 2011. So I guess I just finished 2 years and a couple months, and my term actually expires February 28, 2014, or the last day of February 2014.
Oh, okay. Well, since you've been president, I think we've made much progress. Perhaps you can kind of give your view of the state of the USBA as it is right now.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I don't attribute any progress we've made in the last 2 years, couple months to me. I attribute it to the hard-working board. I know listeners out there will have access to the USBA website, naturally, and they can always look at the board members. There are currently, I believe, 11 board members, and each of them, works hard in his own way to do other things. And it would be hard for me to give a shout out to each and every one, but I have appreciated working with the board during the last few years, couple months, and I look forward to working with them for the next couple months. With regard to the state of the USBA, we're a volunteer organization where our income is from membership fees. We are holding steady with about the same number of members. We peak up or go down depending mostly on the number of tournaments that we hold pursuant to the USBA score. So the more tournaments we have, the more it generates members. I think that would be something that the USBA needs to work on in the future, which is really trying to get the membership base built up more. And, during the last, 2 years or so, we've worked on a number of things that USBA members see, and we've worked on a number of things that they haven't seen. So, for example, we've recently rewritten our Constitution. We've been working on making progress towards getting confirmation from the Internal Revenue Service with regard to a tax-exempt status. So the board members don't see that hard work. They probably see, the new USBA website, which is still a work in progress, but I'm happy with it, and we keep adding to it and fine-tuning it day by day. And, for example, your interviews appear on the USBA website, which is a nice feature, and I would like to see more of those type of interactive contributions from other board members or even members, interviews, videos, photographs. So I would like it to become more interactive, and right now we have the platform on the website to do that. So besides the website, the new Constitution, some finances and tax issues, we've continued, the mission of the USBA, which is to promote theater in the United States, to hold the national tournament, and to be the representative of the Union Mondiale du Billiard, which is the UMB, which is the world's governing body for billiards.
Well, you mentioned the Constitution, changing it to kind of streamline the board. What was the motive, or what is the result in doing that in your mind?
Well, I think the main thing we wanted to do was reduce the number of members on the board, because it was becoming unmanageable once we got to a number above 10 to conduct USBA's business. We try to conduct business in a number of different ways, as you know, Steve. One is through meetings, the face-to-face meetings of the board members, but we found that was difficult to do because of the number of the board members and the way they're scattered across the country. It was almost impossible to get all the board members together. So our thought was, if we have fewer board members, it would increase the chances of having everybody together for face-to-face meetings. We also conduct business via the internet through I guess I'll call it a board or a chat room we have for board members on our website. And again, with the number of members, it was clear, and at least my observation, that not everybody was able to participate. And finally, and sometimes during my presidency, we've also had conference calls with the board, and again, trying to get all 12 members of the board on a conference call was difficult. So it was my view that it was just going to be easier to reduce it to a working number of 7, and that's what the board finally agreed to, and that's what we did. So those changes will take place in the next election cycle, which actually begins very soon, this fall. Will begin the nomination period and then the election period. So in 2014, when the new board becomes elected, there'll be just 7 members.
Well, that kind of prompts my next question. With the new board next year, what are your thoughts? Are you running for president again, or let us know what your decision is, Andy?
Okay. Well, actually, the way the Constitution is rewritten, there's actually not going to be a presidential office per se. The USBA will elect 7 board members, and then the board members will choose from among themselves someone to act as the chairman or nominally as the president, and then they can choose 1 or 2 other persons to act as the secretary-treasurer. And one of the reasons for doing it that way was the board had a little more flexibility in shifting around some of the responsibility and authority among itself, and there could be a chairman of the board for like 1 year, and then the next year it could rotate to someone else. So with the next election cycle, there's actually not going to be a direct election of a president. But not to avoid your question, I have decided not to run for any position on the board for personal reasons. It has actually nothing to do with the USBA and the board. I would love to continue. It has more to do with some of the things I need to do in my personal and professional life that I've been putting off for the last 2.5 years, including starting to write another book. As you may or may not know, Steve, I write books. Some get published and some don't. So the last one I worked on for 2.5 to 3 years didn't get published. The one before that did. So I have another one outlined and ready to go, and it's a big effort, and I would like to get started on it. So,
oh, yes, you did mention that. Do you have a title of the book at this point?
The Corkscrew Kid.
The Corkscrew Kid. Now that sounds pretty exciting. I'm definitely going to read that.
It's a book about boxing, but and I have actually two outlines. One is about boxing, one's about baseball. So it's just a matter of picking up which one I want to do. The baseball one I've had outlined for maybe 15 years, and so I'd like to do it. The Corkscrew Kid is about Kid McCoy, who was a boxer, around the turn of the 18th and 19th century. A very interesting man, had an interesting life. So, those are the two
wonderful.
ones I'm going with, and I'll pick one up and plow through it, and we'll see if we get that one.
Well, I speak for all the board members, and I'm sure the USBA members in general, that we really appreciate the work you've done. You've handled yourself very professionally. We've made some excellent improvements in some areas. I know our members don't sometimes notice those things, but so I just want to thank you for your hard work. And matter of fact, maybe we can TikTok some of these items. The B regional, the B championship. I mean, that's something we've never had before. That's kind of an exciting thing, hey?
I agree, Stephen. I know you were on the B regional committee who, worked out some of the details and spearheaded the effort through. Again, this my observation coming to the USBA as the president in June of 2011 was there were many members, very good billiards players, but in the B or B plus area, who clamored for a quote unquote B national tournament. And I listened to a lot of them, and I think Jim Shovak and you and several others on the board also thought it would be a good idea. So we wrestled with a number of different alternatives, and we finally decided, well, we need to try something. Let's just get something in place, and we'll see how it goes, and then we can make adjustments in future years. So the B committee, so Steve Andersen, Doug Beitel, and Jim Shovak, three board members, worked on the plan. And what we're going to have beginning later this month with the first regional championship in Chris's in Chicago is 6 regional B tournaments. Anybody who is has an average less than 900, according to the USBA records as of August 1, 2013, is eligible. So there's going to be some very good players in these tournaments. The 6 regional tournaments will be held in the 6 regions of the USBA. So right now, we're looking at New York, Miami, Chicago, Houston, either LA or San Diego, and we're still working on that 6th one, which we hope to be in Oregon or Northern California. And they will be held beginning in September and probably the last one in December or January. And each champion of the 6 regional tournaments will then be invited to participate in a 6-man round-robin tournament at next year's Nationals, where the winner will be the B champion. In addition to the prize money, each regional champion gets his entry fee to the Nationals paid, so the regional champion can play in the B regional 6-man final round-robin and also play in the Open National Championship whenever that's held next year. And I think that's one of the topics we'll talk about in a few minutes.
Yeah, well, that is so exciting because, as you know, some of us, we love the game, but, we just don't have an average of over 1. And so consequently, there isn't that opportunity to sometimes play in these tournaments. So now to have a B championship and have that played during the Nationals, I just think that is a winner. So I hope many of our members are going to play in the regional tournaments and make their way to the nationals, which probably should be our next topic. The nationals for 2014. Where's it going to be, Andy?
All right. Well, let me just do the politician in me before I answer the nationals question. Let me just urge everybody with regard to the B regional tournaments. We would really like to have a big showing. I'd love to have 64 players in each of the regional tournaments. I'd love for each of the regional tournaments to bring together all the best B players in the United States, and there are a lot of them. And I urge everybody to look on the USBA web page for more information. We'll be announcing each of the tournaments as soon as we finalize the dates and the locations, and it would be great to have a big showing. So that turns us to the 2014 National Championship. The board is not finalized yet. We're down to two choices right now, and we're still exploring some of the conditions and some of the financial aspects of where we're going to be. As I assume everybody knows, the USBA is a nonprofit organization. As I said before, we rely on membership, donations. None of the board members is paid a salary, so it's a lot of volunteer time. In order to hold the nationals, it's a very big project, and it takes a lot of money that we at the USBA have to raise either through donations or we have to use our, membership dues to pay for. So we have to always be careful on where we're going to go, and we have to look at all the costs. So right now, it looks like the two finalists are going to be either in Miami, three finalists, I guess, back up. Miami, New Jersey, or Houston are the three finalists. And New Jersey is possible again at the Super Billiard Expo by Alan Hoffman. That's where this year's national championship was held. The dates for the Super Billiard Expo changed for 2014. They're in March. So that presents some problems and some issues for the USBA we have to look into. Setting up a billiard tournament, and you were there this year, Steve, is very complicated. When you go to a place that's not an existing room, you have to ship the tables in, you have to hire the table mechanic, you have to rent all the chairs and the stands and all the equipment, you have to check the lighting. So there's a very big expense for all that. The two other places we're looking at are existing rooms, one in Miami and one in Houston. There are fewer expenses from the USDA standpoint because you don't have to ship in tables. But you have to get the room owners to cooperate, and that's a very big obligation on their part because they have to essentially commit their room to the national championship for 5 or 6 days. So, they lose some revenue and they have to be committed. So those are the things we're exploring right now, whether to go back to New Jersey and set up, from soup to nuts the entire tournament again, or go to an existing room that has tables and as had been done, for many, many years. I think 3 years ago was the first time the USBA went to Las Vegas. We went to Las Vegas 2 years in a row, and then New Jersey last year. And I think in 2007, in Louisville, Kentucky, the Nationals were held at a hotel. But other than those 4 instances, all the national championships have always been in existing billiards. And, there's pluses or minuses to each of them.
Sure. Yeah.
The big problem is the tables. If you're holding a national at a location that's not a billiard room and you have to ship, 6 or 8 tables in, there's a very large cost. And many things can go wrong when you're holding a tournament at a distant location. 2 years ago, for example, in Las Vegas, I shipped 2 boxes of all the equipment, including the 20 sets of billiard balls, to Las Vegas. And when I got to Las Vegas, the package was delayed. So we had to scurry around at the last minute to, find, billiard balls to buy in Las Vegas.
Yeah, yeah.
Little things can go wrong.
Sure, absolutely. Well, we'll see. We'll certainly keep plugging away, and the announcement, I'm sure, will be made soon, and it'll be based on the criteria that you and concerns that the board has for each venue. So we'll see how that goes. Well, gosh, it's. I could talk to you for a long time. There's so many different areas that we can discuss, but before I get your your closing thoughts, I just want to take the opportunity to thank you for being our president, and in my opinion and the opinion of the board in general, you have been excellent. You work very well with all of the members, and some of us are quite opinionated. So it's like trying to control wild animals sometimes, but you did an excellent job, and we all wish you the best at the end of the year when you retire from the presidency, and good luck on the book. But what are your closing thoughts, and share with us your thoughts?
Well, I have many closing thoughts, Steve, but I realize time is limited, and also when I look at the list of people you've interviewed, I probably will have the fewest views or the fewest listens, and I think it's probably is better to listen to the great champions you've interviewed. One of the things I'm doing is next month I'm traveling to the World Championship in Antwerp. My wife and I were looking to take a vacation, and we decided if we went to Amsterdam, I could then just take the train over for a couple of days to Antwerp, and so that's what we're going to do.
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to doing that. Especially in an official capacity as the president of the USBA. I've dealt with many of the persons at the Pan American Confederation and the UMB, the world governing body, by email and once in a while by telephone, but I've never met any of them, so I certainly would like to meet with them and talk about billiards in the United States. A couple closing thoughts. The USBA needs more members. The United States needs more billiard tables. And I think somehow we have to get younger players, because billiard is a fascinating sport, and you can play it for your entire life. But for the next generation, you have to start planting the seeds and start developing younger players so the sport continues. I'll paraphrase President John Kennedy, who said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. So I say the same thing with regard to the USBA. Ask not what the USBA can do for you, but what you can do for the USBA. Since we're a volunteer organization, we're always interested in getting volunteers, either running tournaments or helping with the website, or doing promotional videos, or even doing something like you're doing, which is interviewing people so we can post the interviews on the website. The USBA, I think, has made great strides over the last 7-8 years. Jim Shobek's done more than 10 man's work in running the organization for a number of years and running the tour. So we have to give a big shout out to Jim Shobek. And I know you've worked hard on many projects, including the interviews. Doug Beitel, a board member, has worked on the website. And, Ricardo Carranza and Tommy Thompson, they work hard, securing the West Coast portions, running tournaments. And, by not mentioning board members, I want to make it clear that I'm not suggesting they didn't do hard work. I know Victor Cruz in Miami, and David Tooney in Boston, and Pedro in San Diego. They all, worked very hard to make certain, the tournaments, and make certain, they're drumming up new members and participating in conference calls and board discussions. All of, the thoughts and ideas from all of the board members helped me considerably during my time as the president. Ray Rafkin also, Ray's another guy in California, and this is why it's so hard to try to point out individual board members and thank them. And I'm glad I didn't forget Ray. Ray out in Milpitas, California area, Edgy, does a lot of hard work for that.
Yeah,
So that's the board members.
Yes. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that. And again, Merrill Hughes, another one. Merrill has done, great work working with the women's tournament the last couple of years.
Yes.
In conjunction with the Verhoeven Open. And Merrill kind of secures the East Coast. So I could go on and on about the board members, and you yourself know it's actually a lot of work to keep track of discussions and participate in discussions. But, I look around the USBA membership generally, and I see all the hard work that some people do. Charlie Brown, for example. Charlie's run many of our national tournaments. He ran the Verhoeven Open this year in July, and the one last year, and he's run many Carom Cafe tournaments. He does a lot of hard, volunteer work. Paul Frankel. Paul, did the championship tournament a couple years in a row at Allen Hopkins Super Billiard Expo. Paul keeps town billiards in the news by getting, the USBA newsletter in his newspaper, Professor Cue Ball. People like, David Levine, donate financially. Bob Jewett donates financially. And as a side note, I just learned yesterday that I think David Levine and Bob Jewett are also going to be at the World Championship next month.
Well, that should be nice.
Right, and we have, as you know, Pedro Buena and Michael Kang playing, so we have some American entries, and we'll have a little American rooting section.
Yeah, can you do like a wave with like three Americans in a crowd when our American players are playing? That won't be easy, will it?
No, we'll try. But I will tell you, Steve, one of my proudest moments, and I had nothing to do with it because I didn't play, but one of my proudest moments as the president was the USA's showing at the Pan American Championships this year.
Oh my gosh!
Pedro won the individual championship. Hazen Shuni and Hugo Patino won the team championship, and Michael Kang qualified for the World Championship. So it was just a great week.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Well, Andy, thank you so much for taking the time this Sunday morning, and you and your wife have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll talk soon, and thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Steve, and everybody out there, best in billiards. I hope to see you around next year. Even though I won't be the president, I hope to see everybody at tournaments, and please come up and say hello, and please support the new board when it's installed early in 2014.
Very good. Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.